I found out that I wasn't invited to my own daughter's wedding on Instagram. It wasn't a heartfelt phone call or a text with an explanation, nothing like that. It was a post. My daughter Alice, grinning from ear to ear in a wedding dress, surrounded by friends and family, captioned it. The countdown begins. Can't wait to celebrate with all my loved ones on the most special day of my life. And there I was, completely absent from the picture. No mention, no mom in sight. I stared at my phone in disbelief, my fingers frozen over the screen as my mind raced to make sense of it. What's going on? Did I miss the invitation? Did it get lost in the mail? I had spent the past 6 months organizing, paying for, and supporting every single detail of Alice's wedding. I had gone above and beyond to make sure she had the wedding of her dreams. The venue, the catering, the dress. I even gave her the money when her fiancé, Andrew, couldn't contribute enough to cover the extra costs. It was my gift to her. But now, scrolling through the post, I realized that something was terribly wrong. I wasn't part of her most special day. She had asked me to help, yes. But apparently, it was just to foot the bills, not to share in the joy. I sent her a message. Nothing dramatic, just a simple, hey, I saw the post. I didn't get my invite. Did it get lost? I stared at the screen for a long time, waiting for her to respond, but nothing came. I told myself it was fine. Maybe she was busy. Maybe she hadn't seen my message yet. But when an hour passed, then 2, the sinking feeling in my stomach grew. It didn't feel right. It wasn't until 10:34 p.m. when she finally replied. The 3 dots on my phone screen danced for a moment before the message appeared. Her tone was cold. Hey, I was going to talk to you about this. I hope you understand, but we had to make some tough choices with the guest list. It's a very curated event, you know? We had to keep it elegant. No offense, but you don't really fit the vibe. I know you'll be happy for me from afar, though. Love you. I sat there, reading her words over and over, trying to comprehend what she was saying. It hit me. She hadn't just forgotten me. I hadn't just been left off the list by mistake. She didn't want me there. She had curated me out of the picture. I wasn't good enough to attend her wedding, despite everything I had done for her. My hands shook, and I tried to breathe deeply, but the words "don't fit the vibe" echoed in my head like a sharp slap. A curated event. Elegant. The next morning, I tried to reach out again. I called her, hoping she would explain herself. Alice, what is going on? I asked when she picked up. Why wasn't I invited? There was a long silence on the other end of the phone before she responded. Her voice was flat. I told you, Mom. It's nothing personal. We just had to make tough choices. It's my wedding, and I want it to be perfect. You're great, but it's just the way things worked out. I didn't know how to respond. The air between us felt thick, suffocating. My chest tightened, and I could feel the betrayal sinking deeper with every word she spoke. I had given everything for her. I had bent over backward, spent my savings to ensure that this day would be special for her. But for her, I was just another guest. A person who didn't fit the picture-perfect vibe she wanted. I wasn't one of the elegant, sophisticated people she had surrounded herself with. I wasn't good enough. The message she sent last night replayed in my mind. You don't really fit the vibe. I hung up the phone and sank into the couch, staring blankly at the wall. What had happened to us? What had happened to the mother-daughter bond one thought we shared? My eyes flicked to the bank statement on the counter, another reminder of all the money I had poured into her wedding, into her life. The venue, the flowers, the dress. She had asked for my help, and I had given it, no questions asked. But she didn't want me there. She didn't need me there. Not as her mother. I thought about calling Andrew, asking him what had happened, but I already knew the answer. The truth was staring me in the face, and I wasn't sure I could bear it. A mother should never have to find out this way. That afternoon, I spoke to the wedding planner. She was hesitant at first, but when I mentioned the financial support I'd given Alice, she reluctantly admitted that Alice had asked her to remove me from the guest list. It was final. She'd said it was a personal decision, and that the guest list was very specific. The heartbreak came rushing in waves, each revelation cutting deeper than the last. I wasn't wanted. My daughter had made a decision to exclude me from the most important day of her life, despite everything I had sacrificed. And in that moment, I realized that the woman I had raised, the little girl I had loved and nurtured, had become someone I didn't even recognize. I couldn't sit with this any longer. I had to know why. So, I drove to Alice's apartment, hoping that face-to-face, I could get the answers I needed. When I got there, the door was unlocked, just like always. I walked in, expecting her to be there, maybe sorting through wedding plans or coordinating something. But no, the apartment was quiet, too quiet. I found her in the living room, her eyes glued to her laptop screen, a pile of wedding magazines beside her. She didn't even notice I'd entered. I took a deep breath and walked toward her, trying to steady my nerves. "Alice," I said softly. She barely looked up at me. "Hey, Mom," she replied, her voice distant. "I'm kind of busy, trying to finalize everything for the wedding. I don't have time to chat." I felt my chest tighten, the anger rising as the hurt of being excluded clawed at me. "Busy with what? Busy enough to leave me out of your wedding?" She froze for a second, finally looking up at me. The moment her gaze met mine, I saw something I didn't expect: resentment. Cold, calculated resentment. "Why do you even care?" she said, her tone sharper than I anticipated. "You didn't even fit the vibe." Her words hit me like a slap. "What do you mean? You've known me my whole life. How could you do this to me after everything I've done for you?" She sighed, an exasperated sound, as though she were talking to a child. "Mom, it's not just about you. It's about everything. You've always made things about you. About what you do for me, about what you give. But you never asked what I wanted. You always acted like you knew better." I shook my head, trying to process what she was saying. "I did everything for you, Alice. I helped with your wedding, your dress, your venue. You paid for everything because that's what you do." She interrupted, her voice rising. "You think I owe you something for that? I don't." I stood there, stunned, unable to say a word. My own daughter, the one I had loved and cared for all these years, was blaming me for everything. I was the problem. I opened my mouth, but no words came. Finally, Alice spoke again, her voice colder than before. "You never even took my side. Ever. You always sided with Megan over me. She was your priority, not me. You replaced my mother with her. I never asked for that." The accusation hit harder than I could have imagined. Replaced. My daughter felt like she had been replaced. I had tried to be a mother to her, but somehow I had failed. All these years of trying to love her and raise her, and I had become the villain. She wasn't the little girl I once knew. "I never wanted to replace your mother," I said, my voice cracking with the weight of it all. "I was just trying to make things work, Alice. I thought we could be a family, but you've never let me in." Her face twisted with anger. "You don't get it, do you? You made my life miserable when you married Megan. You think everything is just fine because you say so. But it's not. You hurt me, and now you expect me to act like nothing happened? You don't even know how to be a real parent." I felt like I was drowning in her words. The cruelty, the coldness, it was all too much. A tear slid down my cheek before I could stop it. "I don't know what to say to you, Alice," I whispered. "I'm sorry for what happened. I never wanted to hurt you." But she didn't soften. Her face remained hard. "You're not sorry. You never are. You never understand. You don't owe me anything. You don't even know how to be my mother." My heart shattered, and in that moment, I broke down in front of her. I didn't care that I was crying, that I was vulnerable. I had loved this girl my whole life, and she was telling me I wasn't good enough. But Alice didn't soften. She didn't show any empathy. She just stared at me, cold and unfeeling. "You're not the person I thought you were," I managed to say between sobs. "I thought I raised you better than this." Alice sighed, her eyes rolling slightly. "You can't keep throwing everything you've done for me in my face and expect me to act grateful. I don't owe you anything. So don't act like you're the victim here." That was it. My heart was shattered, and there was no way to put it back together. The realization that my daughter saw me as the villain in her life was the hardest thing I had ever faced. I stood up slowly, wiped the tears from my eyes, and turned to leave. "I won't bother you again, Alice," I said, my voice hoarse. "I've done enough." Before she could respond, I walked out, leaving her in that apartment, her world still revolving around herself. The silence between us felt like the loudest thing I'd ever heard. I couldn't take it anymore. The weight of Alice's rejection, her coldness, had become too much to bear. I wasn't sure what to do, where to go, or how to fix this broken relationship. But there was one person who always had my back, who could see things clearly when I couldn't. Megan. She listened patiently as I spilled everything. The exclusion from Alice's wedding, the way Alice had turned on me, how she had gone from being my little girl to someone who couldn't even see the hurt she was causing. Megan was usually the calm one between us, always offering support with a gentle word or a comforting touch. But tonight, something in her shifted. Her face hardened as she sat up straighter, her voice growing firmer with each word. You have to do something, Clara. You've let her walk all over you for too long. She's been cruel to you, and she needs to face the consequences. I blinked, startled by her intensity. What do you mean? Megan's eyes locked with mine. You've given her everything, and she's thrown it in your face. You've spent years being there for her, sacrificing so much. And now she's pushed you aside like you don't even matter. You need to stop enabling her. Her words rang in my ears, louder than my own self-doubt. Stop enabling her. Could I? Should I? I hesitated, my heart aching. But she's my daughter. I don't want to make things worse. Megan shook her head. Clara, she made things worse. Not you. You've tried everything. But now, you need to take a stand. You deserve better. The idea of taking action was terrifying. But deep down, I knew Megan was right. Alice had been manipulative for too long, and I had let it slide, always thinking it would get better, that she would see how much I loved her. But it was clear now that she didn't appreciate any of it. I stood up, pacing the room, a whirlwind of emotions running through me. My stomach churned as I thought about everything I had done for Alice, how I had poured money into her wedding, made sure she had the perfect day, and yet, she had chosen to exclude me, to make me feel like I was nothing to her. Megan's voice cut through my thoughts. Clara, it's time. You're not doing this for you. You're doing it for your own peace, for your own dignity. I stopped, her words sinking in. For the first time in a long while, I felt a spark of something other than despair. I exhaled sharply. You're right. She needs to know there are consequences. Megan smiled, her support unwavering. What are you going to do? I didn't even think twice. I'm going to cancel everything. All of it. Megan's eyes widened. You mean? I nodded, feeling a strange sense of power surge through me. I'm going to make her face the consequences. If she can't respect me, then maybe she'll learn the hard way what it feels like to lose everything she took for granted. I sat down and opened my laptop. My fingers hovered over the keys, and for a brief moment, I hesitated. But then I thought of Alice and how she had treated me, how cold and dismissive she had been. With a deep breath, I started emailing the wedding planner. I canceled the venue. I canceled the catering, the florist, the photographer, everything. I pulled the strings, one by one, feeling a strange satisfaction with each action I took. It was as if I were finally taking back control of something that had been stolen from me. The wedding Alice had envisioned, the one I had financed, was slipping through her fingers. When the emails were sent, I sat back and stared at the screen. A pang of guilt gnawed at me, but I quickly pushed it aside. This wasn't just about punishing Alice. This was about teaching her a lesson. She had to learn that actions had consequences, even if it meant I had to hurt her to make her understand. The day of the wedding arrived. I could barely stomach the thought of it. Alice, walking down the aisle without me there, celebrating a day that I had made possible. But I knew what had to be done. I waited. Around midday, I got a call from the wedding planner. She sounded frantic. Clara, I'm so sorry, but we're at the venue and, well, we can't get in. The catering company isn't here, and the florist. I felt a sick sense of satisfaction. It's all been canceled, I said, my voice steady, though my hands trembled slightly. I've taken care of it. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Clara, I don't know what to say. The entire event has been derailed. This is going to be a disaster. I didn't care. Tell Alice I said good luck? I replied, before hanging up. I leaned back in my chair, eyes closing. I couldn't help but feel a little guilty, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized it had to be done. Alice needed to understand the gravity of her actions. The hours passed slowly, but I didn't hear from Alice. Not a single call, not a single text. As the day wore on, I knew she was reeling from the fallout, and for once, I felt the weight of my decision lighten, even if just a little. But I couldn't shake the image of Alice's face, the disappointment, the confusion. She would never understand this now. But maybe, someday, she would. The wedding had been a disaster. I could hear the chaos from across town. The wedding that should have been the happiest day of Alice's life had turned into an unmitigated mess, all because of me. I stood in my living room, staring at my phone, but I didn't have the strength to pick it up. I knew it would be Alice calling, and I wasn't ready for the storm she would bring with her. But the ringing was persistent, relentless. After the third call, I finally answered. Mom, what did you do? Alice's voice was raw, full of fury. You ruined my wedding. I could feel the tears in her voice, but there was no sympathy for me. I didn't ruin your wedding, Alice. You did. You made it clear that you didn't want me there, and now you're dealing with the fallout. There was silence on the other end, and then Alice broke it with a biting laugh. You think this is my fault? You think I ruined everything? You're the one who made sure I couldn't have the wedding I wanted. You're the one who took everything from me. I closed my eyes, trying to steady my breath. I didn't take anything from you, Alice. You've been taking from me for years. You've taken my time, my money, my love, and now you're taking what little dignity I have left. I could hear her pacing, her frustration boiling over. You don't get it, do you? You've always taken from me. You made everything about you. When you married Megan, you replaced my mom with her. You never took my side. You never understood how much that hurt me. And now you're acting like I'm the one who ruined everything. Her words cut deeper than I wanted to admit. I had tried so hard to be a good mother, to make sure Alice felt loved and supported, but now it felt like I had failed. She blamed me for everything, for the wedding, for her pain, for her resentment toward Megan. And I was supposed to just accept that? You're angry with me for marrying Megan? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. For trying to move on with my life after everything that happened with your father? That's exactly it, she spat. You replaced my mother, and you never even asked how it made me feel. You made me feel like I didn't matter, and then you act surprised when I push you away. You have no idea how much you've hurt me. I wanted to say something, to argue, but the words wouldn't come. I had tried to be understanding, tried to be there for her, but it felt like nothing I did was ever enough. She had turned against me, and I didn't know how to fix it. I'm sorry, I said quietly, my voice shaking. I never wanted to hurt you, Alice. I love you. I always have. But she wasn't listening. She wasn't hearing me. Instead, she continued, her voice cold, dismissive. It doesn't matter anymore. You don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything. The finality in her voice made my heart break all over again. She was done with me. She had closed the door, and no amount of pleading or apologizing would open it. I'm done, Alice said, the words slicing through the silence. You've ruined my life. I don't need you. I never did. The phone clicked, and I was left standing in the empty space between us, broken and betrayed. I sank into the couch, my head in my hands. A part of me wanted to reach out, to call her back and fix things, but another part knew it was futile. She had made her decision, and there was nothing left for me to do. As if on cue, there was a knock at the door. I wiped my face and stood up, walking slowly toward the entrance. I wasn't surprised when I opened it to find my parents standing there, both looking uncomfortable. Alice called, my dad said quietly. She's really angry with you. I know. I replied, my voice heavy. I heard. They both looked at each other, unsure of what to say next. Then my mother spoke, her voice soft and apologetic. Clara, I know this is hard, but Alice, she's just lashing out. She's hurt, and she doesn't know how to process it. I shook my head. She's hurt, but she's not dealing with it. She's blaming me for everything, and I don't know how to fix it. I've tried for years. I've done everything I could, and she's still pushing me away. She'll come around, my dad said, though there was no conviction in his voice. But I knew better. I could feel it in my bones. Alice had made her choice, and I couldn't make her see reason anymore. She's not coming around, I whispered. She's done with me. As they left, I watched them walk away, both of them still caught in the middle, unsure of where to stand. It was all too much pain, too much rejection. The door closed behind them, and I was alone again, surrounded by the silence that had become my constant companion. Alice had burned her bridges with me, and now, it seemed, she was determined to burn every other bridge too. I heard her words again in my head, echoing louder with each passing minute. You don't fit the vibe. Maybe she was right. Maybe I had never fit the vibe. Weeks had passed since the wedding, and I spent most of my days in a fog of confusion and guilt. I kept wondering if I had done the right thing, if canceling Alice's wedding had been the only way to make her understand the depth of her actions. But every time I replayed the situation in my mind, I found myself questioning my choices. Was it worth it? Was it really what Alice needed? Megan, always the calming presence in my life, tried her best to reassure me. You did what you had to do, Clara, she would say, her voice warm and steady. Alice has been cruel to you for years. She needed to face the consequences. But the doubt still gnawed at me. I had never felt so distant from my daughter. Alice had always been my world, my heart. I had poured so much of myself into raising her, and now, it felt like I had lost her forever. The guilt weighed heavily on me, the knowledge that she would never forgive me for what I had done. I found myself reaching out to her, time and time again, hoping for some sign, some small thread of reconciliation. I sent messages, tried calling, but she never responded. No matter how much I tried to explain myself, to apologize for the pain she felt, it was like I was invisible to her. She had completely shut me out. One evening, after sending yet another message that went unanswered, I slumped against the kitchen counter, my head in my hands. "What do I do, Megan?" I whispered, my voice breaking. "I've tried everything, and nothing's working. I can't reach her. I've lost her." Megan came over to me, her hands warm and comforting on my shoulders. "You can't fix everything, Clara. You've done your best. Alice has to choose to heal, too. And right now, she's not ready." The words barely made a dent in the weight of my sorrow. It wasn't about fixing everything. It was about being able to talk to my daughter again, to feel her love, to be part of her life again. But she didn't want that. She didn't need me. After that, I stopped trying. I told myself it was for the best, that cutting contact would protect me from further pain. But every day felt like a struggle. There were moments when I felt like I couldn't breathe, moments when I imagined what it would be like to have Alice back in my life, just the way we used to be. I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, I could have done something differently. But the harsh reality was clear. Alice wasn't coming back. Not now, and maybe not ever. I had to face that. It wasn't until one late afternoon, as I sat staring at my phone, that I finally took a step toward the future. I blocked Alice's number, her social media accounts. It was a gut-wrenching decision, but I realized that if I kept waiting for her to come around, I would never be able to move forward. I had to protect myself, to stop the cycle of hope and heartbreak. "I can't keep doing this to myself," I said aloud, more to myself than to Megan. Megan nodded quietly beside me. "I know. I think you've done all you can. You've given her everything, and she's not ready to see it yet. But you've got to live for you too." I looked out the window, the sky fading into the soft colors of dusk. A part of me still wished things could go back to the way they were, that Alice could see how much I loved her and how hard I had tried. But that part of me was fading, replaced by a quieter acceptance. Maybe this was just the way it had to be. The phone never rang again. My attempts at reaching out were over. I would never stop loving Alice, but I had to learn to love myself again, to rebuild the life that had been shattered by the weight of rejection. Megan's support, her unwavering belief in me, became the anchor I needed. Slowly, the days started to feel lighter, the pain a little more manageable. I didn't have the answers, and I didn't know if Alice and I would ever find our way back to each other. But for the first time in weeks, I felt the small stirrings of hope. I could move on, even if Alice couldn't, or wouldn't, come back. Months had passed since the wedding disaster, and I had tried to move on with my life. I wasn't actively seeking reconciliation with Alice anymore. I had done everything I could, and she had shut me out. The silence between us had settled into something like a permanent ache. Megan and I were doing okay, though. Our relationship had grown stronger in the absence of Alice's demands, but there was always that nagging emptiness. I missed my daughter. I missed the version of her that used to seek my advice, the version that would smile and share her dreams with me. But now, it seemed like I was a ghost in her life. I tried not to think about it too much, focusing on my work, on Megan, on rebuilding some semblance of peace. Then, one afternoon, as I sat at my desk, the phone rang. It was an unknown number, and I hesitated before picking it up. "Hello. Clara, it's Matt." My heart skipped a beat. Matt, Alice's husband. I leaned back in my chair, my breath catching. "Matt? What's going on?" I don't know how to say this, but Alice and we're done." Matt's voice cracked slightly. "She left. It's over." The words felt like a punch to the gut, even though I had known something was wrong between them. "I'm so sorry, Matt. I know you've been through a lot. Is she okay?" I asked, though I wasn't sure I was asking for Alice. I was asking for the little girl I once knew. "She's struggling," he said quietly. "She's been pushing me away for months. I've tried everything to make it work, but the thing is, Clara, she's been the same way with you. The way she's treated you, I've seen it all before. She's angry, and she doesn't know how to handle it. I regret not standing up to her sooner." I was quiet for a moment, absorbing his words. What do you mean? There's a lot more to it, Clara, Matt continued. She's been acting out. She's been using her anger to keep everyone at arm's length. I think she's never really dealt with everything that happened with you, with Megan, with her childhood. She's just bottled it up. And now, it's all coming to a head. I felt a wave of sympathy for Matt, but also for Alice, even though she had hurt me. What do you want from me, Matt? I don't know if you can help, Clara, but I'm asking. Maybe, if she sees that someone cares enough to talk to her, she'll start to open up. She needs therapy. She's pushing everyone away, and I don't know what to do. His words hit me like a ton of bricks. Could Alice really be this lost? Could I help her? I had no idea, but the thought of her, my daughter, suffering in silence broke something inside me. I wanted to help, but the thought of reaching out again, only to be met with more rejection, terrified me. My heart was too fragile to keep taking these emotional hits. But at the same time, I couldn't just ignore her. Not after everything we'd been through. I'll think about it, Matt, I said, my voice softer than I had intended. But I'm not sure what I can do. She's been so hurtful. And I've tried. God, I've tried, Matt. But maybe she needs to come to me when she's ready. Maybe I need to let her. Matt didn't answer right away. I could tell he was waiting for me to give him something more, something that might fix things. But I couldn't offer him that. Not yet. Not when I still felt like Alice had taken so much from me. I understand, Clara, Matt said finally. I just thought. If anyone could reach her, it might be you. I sighed, my eyes drifting to the window, where the soft light of the afternoon sun spilled across the room. The world outside seemed so far away from the pain I was feeling. I'll think about it. But it's going to take time. She needs to want it. I can't force her. I get it, Matt said. Thanks for listening. I hung up, the weight of the conversation sinking in. Alice was in trouble, more than I had realized. But could I, after everything that had happened, offer her the help she so desperately needed? Could I open myself up to her again, knowing how much it would hurt if she rejected me? I didn't know, but I felt a shift inside me. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance to heal this rift. A tiny, flickering hope. I looked over at Megan, who had been quietly listening to the conversation. Her eyes were filled with concern, but also with understanding. What do you think? I asked her. Megan came over and sat next to me, her hand finding mine. I think you need to follow your heart, Clara. You know what's right. If Alice is ready to come back, you'll be there. If not, then you'll be okay. We'll figure it out together. I squeezed her hand, grateful for her steady presence. Whatever happened next, I wasn't alone. And that, for now, was enough. It had been months since the wedding fiasco, but the emotional distance between Alice and me remained a gaping chasm. Yet, in my heart, I still believed that maybe, just maybe, there could be a chance for reconciliation. Maybe if I just showed up, faced her, spoke my truth, we could start to heal. So, I drove to Alice's apartment, my hands gripping the steering wheel, my mind a whirlwind of conflicting thoughts. I hadn't reached out to her in weeks. I had tried, yes, but every time, my attempts were met with silence or hostility. But I couldn't stop myself from trying again. Maybe this time, she would listen. When I arrived, I took a deep breath and walked to her door, knocking gently. The minutes felt like hours as I waited, unsure of what to expect. Finally, the door swung open, and there she stood. Alice. She looked at me with a mixture of shock, anger, and something I couldn't place. What are you doing here? She asked, her voice cold. There was no warmth, no sign of the daughter I once knew. I came to talk, Alice, I said, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. I know things have been hard between us, but I want to understand. Why did you block me out? Why did you shut me out of your life? Alice's face twisted with frustration. You really don't get it, do you, Mom? She snapped, taking a step back, as if trying to distance herself further. You've been nothing but a burden on me. Everything has always been about you. Your feelings, your sacrifices, your needs. But you never cared about mine. Not once. My heart squeezed. The words felt like a knife in my chest. Alice, I have always cared about you. I've done everything I could to make your life easier. I paid for your wedding. I did everything to make sure it was perfect for you. She scoffed, rolling her eyes. Perfect for me? You think paying for everything makes up for the years of pain? You think throwing money at me fixes everything? It doesn't, Mom. It never has. You never understood. You replaced my mom with Megan, and then you acted like everything was fine. You never even noticed how much that hurt me. You never took my side. The anger in her voice felt like a slap across my face. She was angry at me for marrying Megan, for trying to build a new life after everything with her father had fallen apart. I never wanted to replace your mom, Alice, I said, the words struggling to break free. But I tried. I tried to make it work with you. I tried to be the best mother I could be. No, you didn't, she shot back. You never understood that it wasn't about Megan or her feelings. It was about me. You pushed me aside for years, and now you're surprised that I don't want you at my wedding? I swallowed hard, her words hitting me in waves, each one crashing harder than the last. I never meant to hurt you, Alice. I loved you, and I still do. I would have done anything to make you feel safe, loved, and accepted. She crossed her arms, her expression unreadable. You don't get it, Mom. You're the one who messed everything up. You made me feel like I didn't matter. You made me feel like I was the one who was wrong for not accepting Megan. I had to live in the shadow of your decisions. My chest tightened with the weight of her words. This wasn't about the wedding. It wasn't about money or sacrifices. This was about something deeper, something I had missed all those years. Maybe I wasn't the mother you wanted me to be, I whispered, feeling my throat constrict. But I never wanted to make you feel like you didn't matter. Alice's eyes hardened, and she took a deep breath, her voice now colder than ever. You don't owe me anything, and I don't owe you anything either. I've made peace with that. You'll just have to live with the fact that I don't need you anymore. The finality of her words hit me like a punch to the gut. She was done. She had made her decision, and nothing I said or did could change it. I stood there, fighting back the tears, but they came anyway, slipping down my face. I love you, Alice, I said, my voice breaking. I always will. Her expression didn't soften. I don't care anymore, she replied, before turning away, walking back into her apartment and shutting the door with a soft click. I stood in the hallway for a long time, my heart heavy, my mind racing. I had tried. I had tried to reach her, to heal the rift between us. But it was clear now that Alice wasn't ready. She wasn't going to forgive me, and maybe, just maybe, I couldn't make her. I felt broken, but I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I couldn't fix her. I couldn't fix this. I had given everything I could, but Alice had made her choice. And now, so had I. I walked away, accepting that this was the end of the road for us. Maybe, in time, things would change. Maybe they wouldn't. But I knew one thing for sure. I had done my best, and I couldn't do any more. Months had passed since my final confrontation with Alice. My heart had been broken and repaired more times than I cared to count. I hadn't heard from her since that last devastating encounter, where I offered her a lifeline, only to have it rejected. It felt like a weight was lifted from my shoulders, though the emptiness of losing her still lingered like a dull ache in the background of my daily life. I had tried to move on, focusing on the life I still had with Megan, my friends, and the people who truly cared. I had finally accepted the reality that my relationship with Alice may never heal, that we had crossed a line that couldn't be undone. But a small part of me, just a whisper, barely a flicker, still hoped. One evening, as I was getting ready to meet Megan for dinner, my phone rang. I didn't recognize the number. I was about to ignore it when I saw that it was from my parents. Hello. I answered, trying to keep the anxiety from my voice. Clara. My mother's voice was soft but tinged with a hint of relief. You might want to know that Alice has started seeing a therapist. I froze, my mind spinning. Therapist? Yes, she said. Apparently, she reached out to her childhood best friend, Emily, and they talked. Emily convinced her to get help. She's been going for a few weeks now. A surge of conflicting emotions hit me all at once. Surprise, relief, even a hint of anger. After all this time, after everything, Alice was finally starting to address the pain she'd been carrying around for years. That's good, right? I said, my voice thick with emotion. She's trying to help herself. My mother was quiet for a moment. I think so, but... She trailed off. Clara, Alice apologized to us. She said she was sorry for everything she did to you. But not to me. I finished for her, already knowing the rest. Yes, my mother said softly. She won't apologize to you. She's still too hurt, I guess. But we wanted you to know, at least. I swallowed hard, trying to process what I was hearing. For the first time in months, I felt like a door had cracked open, even if only a little. Alice wasn't just moving on with her life. She was facing the pain she'd held onto for so long. But she wasn't ready to face me. I appreciate you telling me, Mom, I said, though my voice felt distant even to myself. But I think I've made peace with where things are. I can't force her to apologize to me. I can't make her ready. I understand, my mother said, her voice full of quiet understanding. But I know you've always wanted the best for her, and this is a step. She's trying, Clara. The relief I felt was overshadowed by the realization that no matter how much progress Alice made, our relationship may never fully heal. And as much as I had hoped for things to be different, I had already started to move forward. I looked over at Megan, who had been listening quietly in the background. Her eyes were full of concern and understanding. She reached out, her hand finding mine. You don't have to do this alone, Megan said gently. We're in this together. You've been through so much, and now you're seeing Alice take steps, even if they're small. It's progress. That's something. I nodded, squeezing her hand. It's something, but I can't keep waiting for her to come around, Megan. I've given her everything I could. I can't keep doing this. Megan smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair from my face. I know, but it's a good thing, Clara. You're not waiting anymore. You're moving forward. And she was right. I had spent so many years waiting for Alice to come back to me, for her to recognize how much I had sacrificed. But I wasn't waiting anymore. I had my life, my love, and the peace that came from knowing I had tried my best. I'm proud of you, Megan said, her voice full of warmth. And I'm proud of Alice, too. Even if she's not ready to reach out to you yet, she's taking steps to heal. That's the best you can hope for right now. I smiled, my heart a little lighter than it had been in months. Maybe someday we'll get there. But for now, I'm just going to focus on us, on what's here. And for the first time in a long while, I felt at peace. Not because everything was perfect, but because I had accepted that some wounds were too deep to heal in the way I wanted. But that didn't mean I couldn't move forward, that I couldn't rebuild my own life. Alice might not be ready to face me, but I had to face myself. And in that moment, that was enough. With Megan by my side, I knew I could face whatever came next, whatever path Alice chose for herself.